I stood in my wedding dress, mascara ruined, 3 bridesmaids crying, and no photographer in sight. We'd paid him $12,000 and he was tagging himself at a beach resort in Cancun. That's when I found out I wasn't the only one. Tell me, from which city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments so we can track the scammed versus the safe cities. Now buckle up, because this isn't just a story about one con man. It's about 32 ruined weddings, a loyal dog with a nose for the truth, and the moment we took everything back. Let's get into it. My name is Rebecca, and I should have known something was wrong when Marcus Sterling offered us a discount for paying in cash. It was March 2023. My fiancé David and I had been planning our October wedding for 18 months. We'd found Marcus through Instagram, where his portfolio looked like something out of Vogue. Sunset shots at vineyards, black and white candids that made ordinary couples look like movie stars. His bio read, capturing love stories for discerning couples since 2015. Tucker, my golden retriever, had actually been at the consultation. Marcus had knelt down, scratched behind Tucker's ears and said, "Dogs know good people, don't they, boy?" Tucker had wagged his tail. I took it as a sign. God, I was such an idiot. The contract looked professional. Watermarked letterhead. Terms and conditions spanning 3 pages. He showed us albums from recent weddings, leather-bound books that probably cost $500 each. When he offered us the premium package for $12,000 instead of $15,000 if we paid half upfront in cash, David and I exchanged glances. "We're trying to avoid credit card processing fees," Marcus explained smoothly. "Small business, you understand." We understood. We wrote the check. For months everything seemed perfect. Marcus responded to emails within hours. He sent us planning guides. 3 weeks before the wedding, we did our engagement shoot. The photos were stunning. He edited them within days and sent us a gorgeous online gallery. Then came October 14th, my wedding day. The ceremony was at 4 p.m. Marcus was supposed to arrive at noon for getting ready photos. By 12:30, my maid of honor, Jessica, was calling him. Straight to voicemail. By 1 p.m., my mother was pacing. By 2 p.m., my bridesmaids were lying to me, saying he'd texted that he was stuck in traffic. At 3:30, in full hair and makeup, I grabbed Jessica's phone and checked his Instagram. There it was, posted 2 hours ago. Marcus Sterling shirtless on a beach in Cancun, holding a margarita. The caption read, "Sometimes you just need to disconnect and live in the moment." I collapsed. Actually collapsed. My knees just gave out, wedding dress pooling around me on the bridal suite floor. The sound that came out of me made Tucker, who'd been wearing his little bow tie as our ring bearer, rush over and press against my side. We had no photographer, no videographer. 8 months of planning, 300 guests arriving, and no one to capture any of it. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Jessica's cousin worked at a local news station. While my aunts were scrambling with their iPhones trying to photograph the ceremony, Jessica was already texting her cousin. Within an hour of my disaster of a reception, where David's brother tried his best with his camera, my story was scheduled for the morning news. I couldn't sleep that night. Our honeymoon suite at the Ritz felt like a tomb. David held me while I scrolled through Marcus's Instagram, torturing myself with his beach posts. That's when I noticed something in the comments. "You did the same thing to us. Where's our wedding album from June? Scammer. You ruined our daughter's wedding. He took our money too. September 3rd wedding. Never showed." My heart started racing. I clicked on each profile. Real people. Real couples. All claiming Marcus had taken their money and ghosted their weddings. By 3 a.m., I had created a Facebook group, Marcus Sterling Photography Victims. By 6 a.m., 12 people had joined. By the time the morning news aired my segment at 7:30 a.m., we had 43 members. The messages poured in. Sarah from Portland, $8,000. Ghosted in August. Michael and James from Seattle, $15,000 for their luxury package. Marcus never showed. Elena from San Francisco. She'd actually seen him at a casino the night before her wedding when he was supposedly sick with food poisoning. The numbers were staggering. In our group alone, we calculated he'd stolen over $300,000. But then Jennifer joined the group, and everything changed. Jennifer wasn't a bride, she was Marcus's ex-girlfriend. "I have information," she wrote, "but I need to know you're serious about taking him down. Comment below if you think we should have trusted her." Sometimes revenge requires uncomfortable alliances. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop in downtown Portland. I brought Tucker for emotional support and honestly protection. Jennifer showed up looking exhausted, designer sunglasses covering what looked like recent crying. He's done this before, she said, sliding a folder across the table. Different cities, different names. This is his third identity that I know of. Inside were business cards. Marcus Sterling Photography. Previously Michael Stone Weddings. Before that Mark Stevens Creative. He targets couples planning weddings 8 to 12 months out. Jennifer explained. Takes deposits from multiple couples for the same dates. By the time the wedding arrives, he's collected from everyone and disappears. Then he resurfaces in a new city with a new name. Why didn't you report him? I asked. Jennifer laughed bitterly. I did. He's smart. LLCs that dissolve. Contracts with arbitration clauses. Cash payments that are hard to trace. And he knows most couples won't pursue it legally. They're too emotionally exhausted after their ruined wedding. She leaned forward. But he made a mistake this time. He got greedy. 32 weddings in 6 months. And, she paused, glancing around the coffee shop. He kept the cameras. Professional photography equipment has serial numbers. Jennifer had photographed some of them when they lived together, paranoid about theft. She gave us the list. We split into teams. There were 17 pawn shops in the greater Portland area. Sarah, Elena, and I took the east side. Other victims covered downtown and the suburbs. It was Tucker who found him. Not Marcus, but his equipment. We were at our fourth pawn shop, Cash Express on Division Street. Tucker started whining and pulling toward the back counter. Behind the glass, 3 Canon cameras and a set of premium lenses. My hands shook as I showed the owner the serial numbers. They matched. The guy who sold these. I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I need to know who he was. The owner, a man named Carl with tattoo sleeves and surprisingly kind eyes, checked his records. Can't give you personal information, he said. Then he turned his computer screen toward me while he went to check something in the back. Marcus had used his real ID to sell them. His real name, his current address. He was living in a luxury apartment complex called The Heights, the kind with a rooftop pool and concierge service. The kind you can only afford if you've stolen $300,000 from desperate couples. That night, our Facebook group had an emergency meeting via Zoom. 68 victims now. The FBI had been contacted but told us it could take months. The police said it was a civil matter. So what do we do? Sarah asked. David, who'd been quietly supportive until now, surprised me. We make his life hell. Legally. The plan formed quickly. We wouldn't confront him physically, that would make us the criminals, but we would document everything. Create such a public record that he could never do this again. But Jennifer had one more bomb to drop. There's something else, she said on our private call later. Marcus isn't working alone anymore. He has a partner. A woman who's been posing as his assistant, collecting deposits. My blood ran cold. Who? I don't know her real name, but she goes by Sophia. Blonde, early 30s, has a tattoo of a butterfly on her wrist. I knew exactly who she meant. Sophia had been at our consultation. She'd served us champagne. She'd played with Tucker. She'd helped steal our money. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button because what happened next changed everything. We didn't plan for violence. We planned for documentation. 8 of us would go to the Heights with cameras, purely to serve him with small claims court papers that Sarah had filed. Legal, above board, peaceful. But trauma makes people unpredictable. It was a Thursday evening. We knew Marcus was home because Jennifer had created a fake Instagram profile and seen his story from his apartment gym. We waited in the lobby. Sarah had the court papers. Elena was Facebook living. I held Tucker's leash with white knuckles. The elevator dinged. Marcus walked out in designer workout clothes, probably worth more than most people's rent. He saw us and froze. For a second nobody moved. Then Melissa, whose wedding had been 3 days ago, stepped forward. You ruined my life, she said quietly. Marcus tried to sidestep. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes you do. Melissa's voice rose. I'm pregnant. We spent everything on that wedding. My grandmother flew from Italy. She's 93. It was the last time my whole family would be together, and you stole that from us. Marcus made a break for the door. David stepped in his way, not touching him, just blocking. Marcus spun, heading for the stairwell. That's when it happened. In his panic to escape, Marcus shoved past Melissa. She fell backward, her head hitting the marble floor with a crack that I'll never forget. Blood immediately pooled beneath her head. Elena screamed. I dropped to my knees beside Melissa while David called 911. Marcus ran. But Elena's Facebook Live had captured everything. 14,000 people were watching. The comments exploded. Someone recognized Marcus's license plate in the parking garage. Within minutes, his full name, apartment number, and business history were spreading across social media. Melissa needed 8 stitches and had a concussion, but she would be okay. The same couldn't be said for Marcus. The assault had turned our civil case criminal. The police couldn't ignore us now. But while they built their case, the internet had already convicted him. His Yelp, Google, and Facebook pages were obliterated with 1-star reviews. Someone found his mother's Facebook and messaged her the video. His luxury apartment complex received hundreds of calls demanding his eviction. But we weren't done. Because Sophia was still out there. Tucker found her too. We were at the courthouse filing additional paperwork when Tucker started barking at a woman in the parking lot. Blonde, butterfly wrist tattoo, but wearing a business suit, walking toward the family court entrance. I followed her. I know I shouldn't have, but I did. She walked into a custody hearing. I sat in the back of the courtroom and listened as she fought for partial custody of her 7-year-old daughter. Her ex-husband's lawyer was brutal, bringing up her unstable employment and association with criminal elements. That's when I understood. Sophia wasn't just Marcus's partner. She was another victim, trapped in a different way. After the hearing, I approached her in the bathroom. She saw me in the mirror and went white. Please, she whispered. I have to get my daughter back. Then help us, I said. The full story came out in the Starbucks across from the courthouse. Sophia had been Marcus's client 2 years ago, a divorce celebration photo shoot. They'd started dating. When her ex-husband started fighting for full custody, claiming she couldn't support their daughter, Marcus offered her a job. I didn't know at first, she insisted. He said the couples were canceling and keeping deposits was standard. By the time I realized I was in too deep, he said if I left, he'd testify for my ex, say I was unstable, involved in fraud. You were involved in fraud, I pointed out. I know. Tears ran down her face. But I recorded everything. Every conversation. Every threat. I was building a case to get out. She showed me her phone. Hours of recordings. Marcus not just admitting to the wedding scam, but discussing previous cons. Insurance fraud. Identity theft. The wedding photography scam was just his latest and most lucrative game. I'll testify, Sophia said. I'll give you everything. But I need immunity, and I need help keeping my daughter. That night, our victims group had to make a choice. Do we trust the woman who helped steal from us, or do we use her to take down Marcus completely? The vote was close. 28 yes, 24 no, but majority ruled. We would work with Sophia. The FBI finally got involved when Sophia's recordings revealed Marcus had been operating across state lines. Federal wire fraud. RICO violations if they could prove a pattern. But they needed more. They needed Marcus on tape, actively scamming. We could help, I told Agent Harrison, the lead investigator. Absolutely not, she said. This is a federal investigation now. But we were already ahead of them. Jennifer, Marcus's ex, still had access to an old email account they'd shared. She could see his password resets. We knew he was already building a new identity. Martin Sterling, destination wedding specialist, based in Miami. One of our group members, Patricia, had a niece getting married in Miami. A real wedding, but we could use it as bait. Patricia's niece, Amy, reached out to Martin Sterling Photography, gushing about his portfolio, mentioning a budget of $20,000, cash preferred. Marcus bit immediately. The consultation was scheduled for video call. Amy would be in Miami, but she'd be wired, FBI listening. Marcus would be in Portland, thinking he was safe. But Marcus was paranoid now. He insisted on an in-person meeting. Amy agreed, pretending to fly to Portland for business. The meeting was set for a downtown hotel. The FBI would be there. Sophia would be there, wearing a wire, introduced as Amy's wedding planner who'd worked with Marcus before. Everything was in place. Then Marcus changed the location last minute. His apartment. The FBI couldn't get surveillance in place fast enough. They wanted to abort. No, I said. We're ending this. I would go with Amy and Sophia. The FBI agent started to object, but I cut her off. Tucker comes too. He's my service dog for anxiety. Marcus knows him from our consultation. It won't seem suspicious. It was insane. It was dangerous. It was happening. If you've made it this far, you need to hear how this ends. Comment justice if you think Marcus deserves everything coming to him. We arrived at the Heights at 7 p.m. Sophia was visibly shaking. Amy looked like she might vomit. I held Tucker's leash and forced myself to breathe. Marcus answered his door in a Tom Ford suit. His face went through several expressions when he saw me. Confusion, recognition, panic, then surprisingly a smile. Rebecca, what a small world. You know Amy? She's my cousin. I lied smoothly. I recommended you before everything. But Amy still wants to work with you. I believe in second chances. It was such obvious bullshit, but Marcus's ego wanted to believe it. He invited us in. His apartment was obscene. Floor-to-ceiling windows, original artwork, a wine fridge bigger than my bedroom closet, all bought with our stolen money. Tucker immediately started growling. Low, steady. Marcus noticed. Dogs know bad people, I said, throwing his own words back at him. But Tucker's just protective after my incident. Marcus asked, pouring wine none of us would drink. My wedding photographer never showed. Can you imagine? But that's why I want Amy to have someone reliable. Someone with a contract. Someone legitimate. Marcus relaxed slightly. He pulled out his tablet showing Amy packages. Sophia played her part perfectly, asking about specific shots, mentioning she'd worked with him before and knew his worth. Then Tucker did something unexpected. He walked to Marcus's bedroom door and started pawing at it. Tucker, stop, I called, but he kept pawing, now barking. What's wrong with your dog? Marcus snapped. He probably smells something. Tucker's weird about closed doors. Mind if I let him check? Otherwise he'll bark all night. Marcus hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Actually, we should go, I said. Amy, we can schedule another meeting. No, it's fine, Marcus said too quickly. He opened the bedroom door. Tucker shot inside. We heard a crash. Marcus cursed and ran after him. That's when we saw her. Another woman, young early 20s, sitting on the bed with a laptop. The screen showed banking software, multiple accounts, transfers pending. She looked at us terrified. He said this was legal. He said you all agreed to payment plans. Marcus grabbed the laptop, slammed it shut. Get out, all of you, now. But Amy was already taking photos. Sophia was recording, and Tucker, brilliant Tucker, had knocked over a box that spilled its contents across the floor. Contracts, dozens of them, all for future weddings, all requiring deposits. He was already running the same scam again. You son of a bitch, I breathed. Marcus lunged for Amy's phone. I moved without thinking, putting myself between them. His hand connected with my shoulder, shoving me backward. I tripped over Tucker, falling hard. My head hit the corner of his glass coffee table. The pain was blinding. Blood immediately ran into my eyes. Amy screamed. Sophia called 911. And Marcus, idiot that he was, ran again. But this time he didn't get far. The FBI had been listening through Sophia's wire. They were already in the building when the assault happened. Marcus made it to the parking garage before they caught him. I needed 12 stitches, and had a moderate concussion. But from my hospital bed, I watched the news coverage with satisfaction. Wedding photographer arrested in multi-state fraud scheme. 32 couples seek justice. FBI uncovers pattern of fraud dating back 5 years. The young woman in his apartment, Brittany, was his newest assistant. She'd been recruited the same way as Sophia, desperate for money, told the scheme was just aggressive business practice. She turned state's evidence immediately. The trial was set for 6 months out. But we weren't waiting for justice. Our Facebook group, now over 200 members, including Marcus's victims from previous cities, pooled resources. We hired a web developer. We bought Marcus's domain name the moment it expired, marcusturlingphotography.com. Want to know what we put on it? Every court document, every victim's story, every piece of evidence. A running ticker of the money stolen, $1.2 million across 5 years. But the real justice came from an unexpected source. The wedding photography community was furious. Marcus hadn't just hurt couples, he damaged their entire industry's reputation. The Professional Wedding Photographers Association held an emergency meeting. They voted unanimously. Any couple scammed by Marcus would receive free photography. Within a week we had a list. 32 couples. 32 photographers volunteering their services. But it got better. Venues started calling. They'd donate spaces for vow renewals. Florists offered arrangements. Bakers volunteered cakes. David looked at me one evening. Tucker curled between us on the couch. They want to redo our wedding. The whole thing. I cried. After everything, I cried. The redo happened on a Saturday in June. Not just ours. All 32 couples. A massive vow renewal ceremony in Pioneer Courthouse Square. The media called it Portland's Wedding Do-Over Day. Marcus watched from federal prison where he was awaiting trial. We know because his new cellmate reached out to our Facebook group. Marcus had seen the coverage on the communal TV. He'd thrown a tray at the screen. Good. Sophia was there, taking photos with a borrowed camera. She'd gotten immunity in exchange for her testimony and recordings. Her custody battle was ongoing, but the judge was sympathetic given the circumstances. She photographed every couple for free, building a new portfolio, starting over. Jennifer, Marcus's ex, caught the bouquet at our renewal. She'd started dating one of the FBI agents. Sometimes revenge comes with unexpected romance. But as beautiful as that day was, we weren't done with Marcus. The trial was a massacre. Sophia's recordings were damning. The FBI had traced money to offshore accounts. They'd found 3 more cities, where Marcus had run similar scams under different names. His defense attorney tried to paint us as a vengeful mob. These people conducted vigilante justice, he argued. They harassed my client. They destroyed his business before any conviction. The prosecutor pulled up our website. They documented fraud. They warned future victims. That's not vigilante justice. That's community protection. Marcus took the stand on day 3. He actually tried to claim we were all lying, that he'd had a mental breakdown, that he intended to fulfill every contract. Then the prosecutor played a recording Sophia had made. Marcus laughing about stupid couples who think their special day matters, and calculating how many deposits he could collect before disappearing. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Wire fraud, interstate commerce fraud, assault, tax evasion they'd discovered during the investigation. 15 years federal prison, restitution of $1.8 million to be split among victims. We erupted in the courtroom. 32 couples cheering. Tucker, who I'd registered as an emotional support animal to bring to trial, barked happily. Marcus turned to look at us as they led him away in handcuffs. You ruined my life, he said. No, I replied. You ruined it yourself. We just made sure everyone knew. It's been a year now. Our website marcusturlingphotography.com, has had over 1 million visits. We've received messages from couples in 12 countries who almost hired him or photographers using similar schemes. We expanded it. It's now a database of wedding vendor scams, photographers, venues, caterers who've stolen from couples. We verify every claim, require documentation. We've helped prevent over 100 scams in our first year. The wedding vendors who helped us formed a coalition. They created a verification system, a badge of authenticity. Vendor verified means background checked, insured and backed by the community. Sophia started a legitimate photography business. She specializes in divorce parties and new beginning shoots. Her tagline, capturing your fresh start. She got shared custody of her daughter. Jennifer married the FBI agent. I photographed their wedding for free. David and I are expecting our first child. We're naming her Justice. 2 on the nose, maybe, but when she asks about her name someday, I'll tell her about the time 32 couples took down a con man who thought he could steal our joy. Tucker is 8 now, getting gray around his muzzle. He still goes to every wedding I attend, my faithful ring bearer and comfort dog. He's got his own Instagram at Tucker the Wedding Dog. 40,000 followers who love seeing him in bow ties. Marcus gets out in 14 years with good behavior. We'll be waiting. The website will still be there. His name will never be forgotten. And if he tries to scam anyone again under any name, in any city, our network will know. Because here's what Marcus never understood. Weddings aren't just parties. They're promises, commitments, community. And when you mess with one couple's wedding, you mess with all of us. If you're planning a wedding, always verify your vendors. Check references. Never pay everything in cash. Trust your gut. And yes, trust your dog. They really do know bad people. If you've been scammed, know you're not alone. Know it's not your fault, and know that justice might not come from a courtroom, but from a community that refuses to let predators win. Share this story. Subscribe if you haven't. Comment your city so others know where to be careful. And to Marcus, if you're watching this from prison, because we know you figured out how to get internet access, here's a message from all of us. We won. We'll always win. Because love is stronger than greed, and community is more powerful than any con. Your mistake wasn't just stealing our money, it was underestimating what 32 angry couples could accomplish together. Enjoy the next 13 years. We'll be living our best lives, with beautiful wedding photos taken by photographers who actually showed up. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, and remember, if something feels wrong, it probably is. Trust your Tucker.